Zrizut. Negative, get rid of the boulders. Positive, plant the seeds. Make something grow. Then, Nekiut. Nekiut is the second sweeping of the field. We got rid of the boulders, now we get rid of the small stones. The things that we don't even see, we don't even know are there. But they're bothering the plant from growing. Okay? So Nekiut is the list of things that we're not aware of. We think it's okay. Why do we think it's okay? The Ramchal will explain. Let's jump in. Because I want to read the words of Ramchal, it's very important. So we spoke about the two big major ones. We spoke about money and how people round corners justify dishonest behavior, dishonest conduct because they believe it's for the cause of making a living, and if I don't eat, I'm going to die. So we spoke about that, the biggest one. The second one we spoke about relations between men and women. It's a very powerful force that God created for the world to continue and to reproduce and to have this excitement in life. But it can go off to the wrong places, and we spoke about that in length. The third one after money, relations between men and women, is eating. Food. Now, we have in us a desire, it's called Yetzer HaAchila, a desire to eat. We want to eat, we need to eat. It's legitimate, it's acceptable. And we have to know that the root of all of the negative desires that we have are all good, are all pure. Like we said, we have a desire to have relations with men and women because we bring children to the world, because we bring closeness when a man and a woman are married. We have a desire to work because we need to have food to eat, we need to live. It's pikuach nefesh, it's a matter of life and death. Without money, you can't stand on your feet. It says that when Korach and Datan and Aviram were swallowed up by the land, it says ואשר עשה דתן אבירם אשר פצתה הארץ את פיה, that the land, that the ground opened up its mouth and swallowed them, ואת היקום אשר ברגליהם, and everything that they have under their feet. Rashi says, what does that mean under their feet? All their money, because that's what makes you be able to stand, right? It stands you on your feet. Right? We say that a person that falls financially, we say he fell, because of having your basic needs is being able to stand in this world. And you don't have the basic needs, your feet collapsed. So it's all positive. If we don't eat, we die. And that's why God put into us this desire we have appetite. It's a gift. But we have freedom of choice. And we could pull that desire, could pull us to negative, or we can be in control and it could pull us to positive. Right? And the more that a desire is more crucial and essential, the more the danger is that it could go off to negative places. It says in the Zohar, so now we're talking about Isur HaMa'achalot HaAsurot. We're talking about not eating food you're not allowed to. Ben binyan hatrefot atzmam. We're talking about a person slaughters an animal and he sees it's now it's not kosher. That means I will lose thousands and thousands of shekels. We could totally understand, we could understand the prohibition. One of the 7 Noahide laws is you're not allowed to take a limb off a live animal. It's totally understandable why people did it. Because you don't, if you slaughter an animal, that's a huge amount of meat. You can't, there's no fridge. So you had to give up on the rest of the meat. So people used to cut off a leg, bandage it up, take the next leg, take another piece, that's how they used to have like a walking fridge. And the Torah said, no, it's cruelty, it's suffering to the animal, it's not accepted. even if you're going to have a loss. Part of serving God is not always you gain, and it's not always easy, and it's not always, yes, you have to do what's right. And a person who slaughters an animal and sees the fine line between kosher and not kosher is fine, has a small little hole in its lung, throw it out. You're talking 10,000 shekels, a huge amount of money, a cow. So, binyan tavotehen, binyan basar v'chalav, meat and milk, bishulei goim, giulei goim, yain escham. There's so many different laws. People don't know. They think, oh, you're just not allowed to eat not kosher. They don't know, and they go to eat vegetarian. There's so many things you're doing wrong when you're going to a vegetarian restaurant. Whether it's bugs, or it's a cooking of a non-Jewish cooking, or wine and vinegar, and there's lots of laws. It's not just don't eat meat or milk together or cooked. It's not simple. Now, it's a little bit hard for us to understand what we're talking about here, because we have kosher food everywhere. It's easy, but we don't understand. If the Ramchal puts this number 3, the test that people had was so big. Literally, for thousands of years, Jews had pogroms and were kicked out from place to place, and it was literally a matter of life and death. And to eat kosher was a lot of times self-sacrifice. We don't understand. You go to a store today, you can find everywhere around the world kosher products. It's not like you really enjoy it if you go traveling and you have to eat canned food and all kinds of whatever, but you could buy fish anywhere. There's a list of things you could do. It's not, you can't really enjoy, like, how do you say, luxuries. Besides, you should not leave Israel for any reason anyway. Unfortunately, they have today cruises and all these kosher, things that you could get kosher food, but it used to be very difficult. כל הנקיות בהם צריך דקדוק גדול וצריך חיזוק, כי יש תאוות הלב, המתאווה במאכלים טובים וחסרון כיס באיסור תאוות ויוצא בהם. Now this, to be clean about it, to be clean, you have to really strengthen yourself, because there's the desire of the heart. And you're going to lose money. And, right, and this is difficult. This is a self-sacrifice. So, and the Zohar says, I don't learn Zohar, but I heard this from my rabbi, that whenever you fight, whenever you go to eat, there's a battle. And the battle is the food going to eat me, or am I going to eat the food? If you ate the food, then you have energy and you're going to go do positive things. If the food ate you, now you can't move and you're knocked down. So, and it says also when you eat, before you eat, you have your ideals, your idealism, and then you're eating. And then you have your low levels, your materialistic aspect. So when you eat, there's a danger that your material aspect of life will become the dominant, and you will forget your soul, you'll forget your idealism. That's why it's so important to make the brachas before and after, especially. You make the brachas and you learn about Jerusalem. And you learn about the Jewish people, and you learn about the battle for the struggle of and for the and the land that we give it, and you remember all these values, and then you come back to a place of idealism, of values. So again, sometimes you have to throw out food that's not kosher, and it's hard for a person emotionally, right? It takes a lot of courage. He's like, I'm not going to come and teach you now Shulchan Aruch and all the different details that are involved in the laws of kashrut are very complex, right? If you are saying, it's not a big deal, you are harming, you are destroying your soul, yourself. Why? Because the difference between food and any other thing you do wrong is that when you eat food that's not kosher, you're actually putting something into your body. You are killing yourself. Later on, Ramchal is going to explain. It's like you're eating poison. It has a physical effect, not only an emotional effect when you do something wrong that you didn't do a mitzvah or you did an avera, that in some kind of way. This actually is what it says in the Gemara here. Masifra velo tetamu bahem v'nitmatem bam. Im metamim atem bam sofchem nitaber. And I know you're putting machnisim tum'a belibo v'nafsho shel adam shekdushato shel makom baruch hu mistaleket umitracheket mimeno. This is what Ramchal is saying, is that the holiness of God, you're putting into you something that takes out the holiness of godliness from yourself, because the food becomes part of your body, part of your existence. And I heard once, I don't know if it's really true, but like the thing that closes your pores the most from any other meat is pork. That it closes the pores. It's very fatty and maybe, I don't know. But again, we don't do these things because it's healthy or because we do it because God said, right? And the Rambam says you're not allowed to say, I don't want to eat non-kosher food because it's disgusting. You say, I want to eat it. You smell a nice bacon and eggs. You can smell it and say, oh, it smells so good. I'm not having this because God said not to. Not because it's disgusting, not because it's bad for your health. I'm not doing it because God said not to. But, so, that's what happens. You eat non-kosher food, what we call tuma. It's like the vera is in your body. It's like it created a scar in you, a dent, emotionally. Vehu ma she'amru b'shas, they wrote in the Gemara, v'nitmatem bam, al tikri v'nitmatem. The word, what is the word nitmatem? Like from tameh. Ela v'nitamtem. It makes you stupid. She'avera metamtemet. That's what it says. At libo shel adam. The avera makes you stupid. Suddenly you start having theories that are like completely like make no sense. And you don't know where it comes from. By the way, one of the amazing things of Israel is that when soldiers go to the army, suddenly they're eating kosher for 3 years. It's an incredible thing. All of the food in the army is kosher. And there's a wild story where Rav Goren, he was the chief rabbi of the army. And in those days, in all of the unit of paratroopers, there was not one religious Jew. So the unit decided, they said, we are deciding that we will not have kosher food in our unit. There's not one person that's kosher or religious. Nobody wants it. So you can't tell us what to do. We're all not religious. So the Rav Goren said, no, you're wrong. There's one soldier that is religious. And they said, who is that? He said, me. What do you mean? I'm just joined the parachutes because it's a voluntary thing. He said, okay, then come jump out of a plane. No problem. Let's go. They take him up to the top. They put the parachute on him. They said, Rabbi, before you jump, we're not going to give you a parachute because you believe in God. You just jump and pray. He said, let me explain to you something. God said there's something called gravity. If I jump without a parachute, I'm going against God who said there's gravity. And therefore, I have to have a parachute because I believe in God. They gave him a parachute and he jumped. If you look in the pictures, he has his wings. He did it. כי מסלקת ממנו הדעה האמיתית ורוח השכל שהקדוש ברוך הוא נותן לחסידים. There's something that, having clear thoughts is a gift. We talked about that in Zeirut before, that like when you have a positive thought, that's like, wow, you have to capitalize on it. Thank God, take advantage of it. I thought of doing something good. Do it right away. Make sure you act on it, because having a thought, a positive thought, is an incredible gift. We have to hold on to our thoughts. And that's why it's very important not to watch movies of negative things, of our enemies, of torturing, of kidnapped people. All this stuff brings down your spirit, brings down brings negative thoughts into your head, weakness. You have to stand on guard to not let these things come to your reality. Stay away from social media, at least now. So, and that's what we said. And that's what it is. Ki Hashem yiten chokhmah. Hashem gives wisdom to you. And when a person eats not kosher, the wisdom, a person stays materialistic, locked into the only thing he sees is the materialism of this world. That's what this food does, going into your body. It's pretty shocking. Hamachalot asurot. Yetera beze al kol isurim. Like we said, it's more than any other thing you can do wrong is about eating. Kevan shem nechasim megufo shel adam mamash nesim basar mebsaro. It becomes part of your body, it becomes part of your flesh, and therefore it has an effect, and a really strong effect on you. And the Gemara actually says a shocking thing, that they brought Rav Pinchas ben Yair's donkey. The whole Gemara we're learning, the whole Messilat Yesharim is based on the bright of Rav Pinchas ben Yair. Rav Pinchas ben Yair, who used to go save people who were in hostage, and that was his main mitzvah. And there was a story once, they brought his animal, his donkey. They brought him to eat some wheat, and he wouldn't eat. So they thought maybe it's dirty. They cleaned it out, made it more refined. Wouldn't eat. So they asked the rabbi, what are we going to do? Your donkey won't eat. Starving. He said, did you meiser the wheat? No, we forgot. Go meiser it. They meisered it, and he ate. And Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair said to the people, this donkey is going to do a mitzvah, and you're giving it to eat not meisered food? So the rabbis ask a question. What do you mean? An animal is chayav in meiser? Like, since when does an animal have an obligation to eat only meisered food? It's not chayav in mitzvahs or anything. What's the answer? The answer is, this donkey was machmer. Unbelievable, right? And then the Gemara goes on saying that like Hashem has a special protection for tzaddikim, that like they will not be able to make a mistake, right? It's unbelievable. Wow. Anyway, when it comes to food, that they will not, like, they'll be protected. Very interesting. Okay, where were we? Okay, let's move on. Ukidei. Now we're going to talk about things that are even more fine, more nuances. וכדי להודיענו שלא הבהמות הטמאות או השקצים בלבד הם טמאים, in order for us to know that the animal is not, it's not only that the non-kosher animals are not kosher, but also trefot b'min hakasher atzmo b'chal tameh, that even a kosher animal that is not shechted right or had some blemish is not kosher, right? A small little hole in the lungs, that's it. The animal is garbage. That's why, by the way, in out of Israel, you can get much more higher level kosher animals, because they can sell it to they don't, it doesn't make a difference. They could keep only the best ones for the Jews, and the other ones they just sell to the non-Jews. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Here there's a bigger problem.
Well, they do it here also.
Here also? אמר הכתוב, להבדיל בין טמא ובין טהור. Right? לא צריך מה בין חמור לפרה. You have to have, it's not, God is not saying like make a distinction between the pure and the not pure. It's not, the Torah doesn't have to tell us between a donkey and a cow, but it's telling you something that's much more refined. Leven ben tameh, ben tahor, ben tme'ah lecha, ben Torah lecha. If like it's such a fine line between when you shecht, we're talking about a split of an inch that makes it not kosher if he cuts it in the wrong way, or it's very, very not simple. ואמרו בלשון זה בסיום במרם, וכמה בין רובו להראות כמה כוח המצווה שחוט השערה מבדיל בין טמא לטהור ממש. It's like a hair is what the width of a hair is what makes something considered kosher or not kosher. Right? So human morality cannot grasp what we're telling you right now. Human morality cannot grasp what we're saying. Right? Because in our mind cannot like make a distinction between that things that are so fine, so small. Come on, what's the big difference? But, right, like a person takes Shabbos in 1 second after Shabbos came in. 1 second after Shkia came in, he takes Shabbos in. He did something, right? What did I do? What do you, like, you guys are like fanatics? One of your strings of your tzitzis was torn in the wrong place, right? One place it's kosher, right? If your string tears here, it's kosher. Tears not kosher. Why are you being so, small-minded? The answer is, you have a car. One little string, one little wire that connects one thing to another is not working, and it costs 1 cent, costs 1 shekel, half a shekel, 10 agurot. What are you making a big deal? Now it doesn't work. The whole machine doesn't work. That's what it's about. The whole car is now worthless. It's a chunk of metal. Can't take you anywhere. Can't do anything with it. That's the way it is. Or you went and you filled out the lottery, and you got one number wrong. What are you making a big deal? It's only one number. Too bad. By the way, it was a funny joke. I don't know if it's really happened. The guy made it up, or if it's real. It could be real. I don't know. But I had a friend. It was a real joker, a special man. He was also a holy man, but he was also very, very funny. His name was David Hertzberg, Zecher Vacha. So he said one night he had a dream. I don't know if this is true. Again, he could have made it up. It could be true. He said he had a dream, and he saw in the dream all the exact numbers of the lottery. And he woke up, and he filled out the lottery, and he was right, but he made one mistake. Everything was backwards. Instead of 21, he did 12. Instead of 32, he did 23. But exactly. So he said he was like, it's unacceptable. He went to the office, and it was $10 million, the lottery. So he said, I went there and I showed them. I said, come on, how could you ever see anybody who got it exactly, but opposite? I didn't see in my dream like the right direction.
I think he was blowing your head.
He was making it up?
I think so. That's not that type of guy he was.
He said, I went there and I was like, I wouldn't leave them alone. I'm telling them, like, look, it's proof. He said, finally they were convinced. And they gave me $10 million backwards.
Yeah,
They charged him $10 million?
your leg.
No.
0.0000.
I should ask his wife, if it really, you never know with guys like this.
His ex-wife.
Yeah. No, he was married then.
He was married, right?
I would love to find out if that really happened. Anyway, והנה מי שיש למוח בקודקודו. If you have a brain in your head, יחשוב איסורי המאכל. Think about eating food that's not kosher. כמאכלים הארסיים. Think about it as food that has poison in it. It's poison. או כמאכל שיתראה בו איזה דבר ארסי. Or food that has mixed in some poison. כי הנה, לו דבר זה ירע, יקל האדם על עצמו. If this would happen, would you say, you know what? I'll eat it anyway. Right? האם יישאר ליבו איזה בית מיחוש, אפילו חששה קטנה? Would you take even the smallest chance? It might have some poison in it. ודאי שלא יקל. You wouldn't, obviously you would not take it lightly. אם יקל, לא יחשוב, לא נחשב, אלא שותה גמון. If he would, people would say this guy is completely crazy. אף איסור המאכל כבר בארנו שהוא הרס ממש ללב הנפש. Eating non-kosher food is poison for your personality, for your soul. It's poison. אם כן, מאיפה יהיה המקל במקום חשש של איסור? אם בא שכלו. Don't take it lightly. If you're not sure, don't do it. אז אבל זה נאמר, ושמת סכין בלועך עם בעל נפש אתה. If there's food that's not kosher, put your utensils, put your knife back into this holster. Put it back in. Take a deep breath. Don't eat it. So we did it. We made it through the food. We're going at an unbelievable speed. Next, now we're moving into עתה נדבר על חטאים המדיניים הנולדים מחד בני אדם וקיבוצם. Now we're going to talk about your experiences we spoke about in being careful and Zeirut. This is about your personal experience. Now we're talking about what happens when you have interactions with other people. Wow, you're coming out of yourself and now you're having interactions with people. You have to have positive interactions. And it's more complicated. It's easier to be a holy guy. Go live on your own, some mountain somewhere, be on your own. It's much easier. But then there's a Kiddush Hashem of society, of a community, right? Individual tzaddikim living in all kinds of places exist. But when we're talking about Kiddush Hashem of society, this is where we're moving to now. Avram Avinu, right? Avram Avinu built Mamlechet Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh. He built this nation to be a nation of priests, to be a nation that will create a society, a holy society, a holy nation. And this is an incredible revelation and revolution. So now what are we talking about? There's things that everyone knows, but these things that I'm going to tell you now, people don't know. What is it? We're going to explain each one. Onat varim, halbanat panim. Tricking somebody, embarrassing somebody. Okay? We're going to go into each one. The Ramchal is giving the list, and then we explain each one. Hachshalat iver be'etzah. Giving someone bad advice, purposely, because you have something to gain. Right? Where do we learn it from? Some people say you learn it from Lifnei Evel Timechshol. Other people learn it from from other things. Rechilut. Okay, now we're talking a certain level of lashon hara. Rechilut, sina, hate, revenge, nekima, shvua, dvar sheker, chilul Hashem, lying, chilul Hashem. Here's the list. These are the list now of all the things that have to do with your social interaction. So we're going to explain each one. Whatever we can get through, we'll get through. Who's able to say, oh no, I never make a mistake in all of these things? To be careful, these things takes lots of toil, of effort. Why can't I just talk whatever I want? Why are you always telling me what to say and how to say it? And yeah, sorry. You need to control. You need to understand your words, your effects, your actions have effects on people around you. So we're talking about now relationships. So let's go. הונאת דברים בכללה ולדבר בפני חברו. What is הונאת דברים? Is when you talk to somebody, even privately, שיבוש ממנו כל שכן האמירה בפירוש דבר שיבוש ממנו. You're not allowed to say to someone things that will make them feel embarrassed. Things that will make them feel shamed. You're not allowed to do that. או לעשות לו מעשה שיגרום לו שיבוש. Or you're not allowed to do actions that will make him feel ashamed or embarrassed. For example, אם היה בעל תשובה לא יאמר לו זכור מעשיך הראשונים. You're not allowed to say to a Baal Tshuva, hey, remember what you used to do when you were, when you were young and wild? And the person is embarrassed. He did things that he wishes he wouldn't have done. He regrets it. He did tshuva for it. But then he meets friends from the good old days. Hey, remember when you... Da, 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 da. The guy turns white, right? You're not allowed to say to somebody, oh, this guy, he ate pork and now he's going to come learn Torah, but he did tshuva, it's over. No. Or someone's going on a date. You think this girl is good for me? What? Why not? She's a great girl. Yeah, but she's about tshuva. Oh, no, she's not for me. Is there any greater embarrassment than putting someone down? About tshuva is a new person. Right? Yeah, she did tshuva, but it's not considered anything. Right? That is that's what's called ona'at dvarim. And another thing, imayu chalaim ba'im alav. Or we're explaining now this concept of ona'at dvarim, of making someone feel bad. Okay? Or a person became sick. You're not allowed to say to him the way Eov's friends told him, Zechorna mina ki avad. Oh, what did you do wrong? Or you think God is just doing this? You're not allowed to say that. He's suffering. So you say to him, it's a punishment from Hashem. You think, wow, I'm giving him such encouragement. Obviously you have a lot of averas and you're a terrible person, but God loves you and that's why he's punishing you. You're not allowed to say that. Even though it could be true. It says when bad things happen to you, then you should always, right? You should always think, why is this happening to me? But you're not allowed to say that to someone. You saying that to the person can say it to himself, but you can't say that to the person. And also, there's a lot of reasons why a person gets suffering and and difficulties. It's not always because they're a bad person, like they did things wrong. Maybe it's for the past generation. Maybe it's for their past reincarnation. Maybe it's for to uplift the generation. Maybe it's because other people can't handle it, so God's giving it to them. Maybe it's because something for the future that could happen. So there's a million reasons. We don't understand, and don't pretend that you are now the judge. There's a famous story of a guy in the Gemara talks about a guy was running to go catch the boat, and he had to go to make a big living, and he stepped into a thorn and he couldn't walk. And he's crying, and then he found out the boat drowned. Thank you, God, for giving me that suffering. We don't know. Right? And therefore, it's very important. It's different than a prophet, that God tells a prophet, go say that they did this wrong. And okay, they know when a prophet is told what they did wrong, and he's told to tell them, it's a different thing. But it's very serious to not go to someone. The idea of telling someone that did something wrong, the only concept is that they're not aware, and that now they know. They should be so grateful to you. You say, oh, by the way, you did this thing wrong. Oh, thank you. I didn't know. If that's how they see it, because you really want to help them and you really care about them, and they feel it and they're able to accept it. It says, Al tochach let's pen yisneika. Do not tell a fool he did something wrong, because he'll hate you. Hochach chacham v'yaveka. Tell a wise person what he did wrong. He's so grateful. It says that the Gaon of Vilna paid the Maggid of Duvna to tell him where he has things that he has to work on that he's doing wrong. Like most people don't want to hear what they did wrong. Well, I'll pay you if you can tell me what I did wrong. He's so grateful. It takes a very high level of self-worth and self-value and self-awareness. And I'm in this world to grow, and I understand that I'm not perfect, and I wish this is a very difficult subject. Most people, you tell them they're wrong, fly through the roof. It says the Gemara. You tell somebody, oh, you have something stuck between your shirt. Are you kidding? You have some stuff stuck between your eyes, right? Tol korami ben enecha. People don't want to hear it. And unfortunately, there's all these people that are master commentators of why disasters happen. Oh, it's because of tznius. Oh, it's because of, a bus was crashed with kids. Oh, it's because of Chil Shabbos, obviously. It's because of tzniut, right? So it's not enough that these kids were killed. You're now telling them, they deserved it. And Eov's friends were punished. Even though Eov said heavy things towards God. How could he have said such hard things? Gemara says, En Adam nitfas b'shat tzaro. A person that's suffering, leave him alone. He could say difficult things. He doesn't mean to. He's not responsible right now for what the words that he's saying. He's in pain. Leave him alone. Right? Like we saw with Rachel Imenu. Havali banim, give me children. And Yaakov is like, what am I, God? I'm God that I can't give you. I don't give anything. He's right. But listen to her pain. Don't feel threatened and attacked. She's now telling you she wants children. She's not saying it in the right way. She's saying, she's blaming you. You're responsible for it. But put yourself aside. This is again, we're talking, this is hard work. Obviously, if the Ramchal says that this takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. But it's expected from us to be aware of and to work on it. As someone who's in therapy for 25 years, I'm still working on it. Don't give up. Keep going. It's a process. Like when I was 3, I said I want to be a tzaddik. I still have the same goal. Tzaddik is zeirut, zizut, nekiyut. This is part of it. Right? So instead of Yaakov Avinu comforting Rachel and saying, wow, I see you're suffering so much, he got defensive and got angry at her. אם היו חמרים מבקשים ממנו תבואה לא יאמר להם לכו אצל פלוני מוכר תבואה ויודע שהוא לא מוכר תבואה מימיו. Another thing that it's called ona'at dvarim. If somebody says, where do I buy, I need to get some hay for my donkeys. Oh, go there. And they don't sell it. So why are you doing it? Why? Go on TV. And there is, on YouTube, there's endless amounts of videos. There's a whole thing called Just for Laughs. They even put it on the movies and the planes. And I saw some people show me sometimes. Oh, look. You see a guy who wants to sit down. He pulls the chair. He falls down. All kinds of things where you see someone being hurt, someone suffering, pranks. Yeah. And the people think it's okay. It's for a joke. But you're laughing at someone else's expense? What are you laughing about that? You should cry. I remember someone showing me, look at it, how funny it is. I couldn't enjoy it. Maybe I'm just too sensitive. I was like, I can't watch that. People are getting hurt. People are you send someone to go make a joke. You send them to, how do I get there? Oh, drive around there. You see that, and you gets to a garbage can. What? How funny. Unbelievable. Okay? And made you laugh. Ukvar amru gadol onat dvarim onat mamon. It's greater, the suffering and the vera that a person does from making someone feel bad is worse than even if you tricked someone with money. Because it says why is it worse? Because money I can give back. I tricked someone. I took too much. I was able to fool him. I feel bad. I realized I made a mistake. I give him back the money. It's done. But if you hurt somebody, if you embarrass somebody, you put somebody down, you created a real wound, a real scar in their personality. I know there's a story once I heard that there was a woman in a very bad relationship with her husband, and the therapist or the rabbi said, "What happens every time your husband says something not nice to you?" I scream at him. Okay, and it's just bad cycle. Try something else. For a month, every time he says something bad to you, hold it in, take a nail, and bang it into a piece of wood. Okay. A month goes by, and the husband says to the wife, "You've changed. I don't know what happened. You're like a new person. How has it been so different?" She said, "Well, I went to the rabbi and he gave me this advice. That's what I've been doing for this last month." Can I see the piece of wood with the nails? Sure. It's like the whole piece of wood is full of nails. He feels so terrible. He says, "Listen, I really want to become better. Do me one favor. Every day that I say a positive thing, take one nail out." Okay? A month goes by. He says, "Can I see the board?" Here. Takes the board. There's not one nail in it. He says to her, "I did it." She says to him, "Yeah, you just missed one thing. Look at all the holes in the board. You're right. You took it out. There's still holes." So this is what we're saying. The physical, you hit somebody, the smack goes away, but the emotional pain creates a real dent in a person's personality. Unfortunately, when I was a kid, we weren't allowed to hit back when people hit us. This comes from like a Christian morals. Turn the other cheek. In Judaism, if someone hits you, you're allowed to hit them back. It's a fine line. If you have a child who doesn't know how to stand up for himself, so you tell him, when someone hits you, you hit them back. You have a child who hits everybody that moves, you say, no, when someone hits you, you don't hit back. You come and you tell us, or you, right? Because they need to work. It's all about balance. But I used to have this, and I used to have this mantra I had to say when someone would hit me, or someone would say bad words to me. And according to Allah, if someone hits you or someone says bad words to you, you're allowed to say back to them. You're allowed to defend yourself. Sticks and stones will break my bones. Words will never harm me. And that's not true. Words can hurt just as much or even more than being hit. And if it's in public, then you're talking even worse. ואמר רב חיסדא כל השערים ננעלו חוץ משערי הונאה. אמר רבי אלעזר כל הקדוש ברוך הוא נפעל לשליח חוץ מהונאה. A person, if you're davening, a person who is a person like this, who is embarrassing, putting down, hurting other people, the gates of prayer are closed. Okay? And the person who is hurt by that person, when he prays and he cries out, it's listened to. ואמרו שלושה אין הפרגוד ננעל בפניהם. 3 people, the gates never close, and one of them is ona'ah. Right? In other words, your requests are not accepted. But when somebody prays and cries out because he's being abused, right? Ona'ah, then he's answered immediately. ואפילו לדבר מצווה מה כתוב הוכח לך מתך. And even when it comes to a mitzvah, it says, right, there's a mitzvah. הוכח לך מתך. אמרו זכרון לברכה, יכול לפעמים שתי משתנות. What does that mean? Tell him he's wrong. What about, is it, you're talking about even if his face turns white, even if he's embarrassed? No, ולא תישא עליו חטא. As long as the person is not embarrassed. מכל אלה המאמרים, תראה עד היכן מתפשטת האזהרה הזאת וכמה עונשה קשה. So we see how serious it is. The newspapers are packed with all this stuff of talking about bad, about putting people down, seeing the bad in people, negative, and all these embarrassing, killing people. The newspapers are all full of it. That's like King David, right? King David did tshuva, and all day long people would tell him, "Look what you did! Look what you did!" He did tshuva, erased, right? Binyan. So that's we're done with the. And the next one is Inyan Eitzah. Advice. We have another. How much time do we have? No, I think we should leave the advice for next time. So, Bezrat Hashem, we have enough to take in here to work on.
I need advice.
Sorry, you're going to have to wait for next week. Advice is next week. And thank God we're moving at a fast moving pace.